friends, since we're all out here in the quilting studio together, let me show you what's happening at the end of Debbie's quilt right here. Take just a minute to like and subscribe and consider sending a quilt over here to Brenda's Quilting Studio. Put something down in the comments and I'll tell you how all that can happen right here. So I've moved down to the last section. I do have actually a couple more rows to do, but because of how much space I have right here, I am going to baste the entire amount of the quilt and get finished with the basting, and then I will roll it back and I will actually do a couple of rows up here before I do the final rows. But basting right now is going to be my best option, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check to see how far she's going to go down, and she's just barely going to hit that section, so I want to make sure she's going to make the whole thing. I'm actually just going to reach up here with my hand and I'm just going to tighten my take-up bar because I can reach to do that. And now she's going to fit the whole way. I'm going to tighten my belly bar just a tad and make sure that she's fit all the way and that I can reach all of her. I am now going to straighten the back and pull it tight right here because I don't want any slack in this section as much as I can get. I am going to do that over on the other side. I'm going to check to make sure that the backing of the quilt is nice and flat all the way underneath of here. If I have any wrinkles or challenges, I want to be aware of them now. When I get done basting, I will literally sneak my little head underneath here and I will check and make sure that there's no wrinkles underneath as well. But that is something I want to be aware of. I'm going to make sure the batting is nice and smooth, and I'm going to pull the front back over and make sure she is all smoothed down before I do the basting at the very end of the quilt, because once she gets basted, that's where I want her to stay. That's where I want to be able to have her at the tension that I desire. And so all of this needs to be straightened and checked before any of that happens. She's a fairly small quilt. She isn't real huge, but if I had a queen size quilt, a king size quilt, if I was running a quilt more lengthwise in this particular fashion, in her situation, I had to run her horizontal because that's all the backing that I had. But given the option, I would have ran her horizontal because that's less rolls that I have to do. But this is what needs to happen. So we're rolling with it. And I just want to make sure everything is nice and smooth before I do that last amount of basting. And then again, I will go ahead and take a peek under here and make sure that everything is laying nice and flat before I take any stitches. Once I get her basted here, I'm also going to roll her back down to do those upper rows. So then I will run her down for this section. So I hope some of that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to guide you and give you some ideas. At Brenda's Quilting Studio, I strive to exceed all expectations. Let's move on and finish up the basting here.